Alrighty. Hi, everyone. It's me, David Chen from youtube.com/DaveChenski. I'm here with Patrick Willems, the man behind the channel and the channel behind the channel. Patrick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, David. How are you?
I'm doing okay. And I think we are here today because we got some videos we want to comment on, right? But before we get to any of that, I just want to make sure that this broadcast is functioning as planned. Because I'm not
Yeah.
seeing it pop up on the live. Oh no, here it is. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. All right, so we are good, and we are going to comment on the last 4 videos you made. Now you've released 4 videos since the last broadcast we did. The Hunt for Red
It's been
October.
like a month.
It was about a little bit over a month ago or so. The Hunt for Red October, Learning to Love the Soviets. Little Women, How Greta Gerwig Revolutionized the Literary Classic. Is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again the best sequel ever? And I joined the Turner Classic Movies Wine Club. Those are the 4 videos you've made in the last month.
Yep.
Now, before we get into any of the videos, I think it's worth kind of discussing the fact that we're living in unprecedented times right now. We have gotten some questions, a couple tweets, which was very gratifying. It's always very gratifying when it's kind of a mix of gratifying and also negative emotions, when you get a message that's like, hey, where's the blah, where's the thing that you're supposed to make, we've got we've got a handful of messages of people being like, hey, where are the commentary videos, what's going on with the commentary videos, Patrick? So
it's good to know people care. Also, then we feel guilty because we haven't done them.
Yes, that's right. And I would say that the past few weeks have been an unprecedented time in our nation's history that have kind of made at least me personally feel like I didn't know if it was the right time to do a commentary video on your Mamma Mia video. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I didn't feel like it was the right time to release said Mamma Mia video, yet I still had to. So yeah, I'm completely with you. It was, I mean, obviously it's strange because the past several months have been a very weird time, and then within this span of time, there's been like this new section that has been its own thing, and it's like, look, when everyone in the country is very concerned with like systematic racism and police brutality, let's not waste time talking about stupid shit that can wait.
Well, I mean, but if you're going to, it might as well be Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which is at the vanguard of diverse representation.
Exactly.
But anyway, so that's kind of why is like these are kind of very fun and enjoyable videos that Patrick and I like to make together, and it's kind of like just felt like a weird time to be commenting on them over the course of the last few weeks. Obviously, these things are still going on right now, but you have made a bunch of these, and I enjoy talking with you about movies, and so we thought, hey, let's give this a shot right now. But it's not meant to minimize anything that's going on right now. So
of course not.
Anyway, all that said, that's why there haven't been videos. It's just been it's been challenging to get in the headspace to make one of these commentaries, but we are at least closer to the headspace now. Let's dive into the videos themselves. And well, actually, one last thing before we dive into the videos themselves, which is something that I have witnessed as the videos have gone on, is the production values have gotten really, really good from your parents' house.
Thank you.
But also the topics have become more and more unpredictable, I would say.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. So let's start by talking about kind of how you have conceived of this time period of your life, because this is clearly not what you had planned for your channel this year, right? Like at the beginning of 2020, you weren't like, this is what I'm going to be doing this summer.
No, and the great irony of it is that I started out 2020 with the clearest plan for my work for this year that I've ever had. I had the whole, like, I mean, this was the first time I was going to do like a whole season-long running storyline through the year. I had that all mapped out. I think in January went through and planning on doing 2 videos every month, I just scheduled my entire year of videos. I had all the topics already figured out. And then obviously this happened. And
The pandemic specifically you're referring
the
to.
the pandemic happened, and I ended up stuck here. And obviously I just can't, usually for most of the videos I'll, get together with my team that I work with back in the city and shoot scenes that involve multiple people. And I just couldn't do that. And so most of these things that I had planned, I just realized these have to wait. Like if I want to do them the way I would like them to be done, they have to wait until this ends and we can, return to making things the way we usually do. And in the meantime, I just brainstormed all new ideas here. And the one thing is, I think what led to some of the video topics being ones that I wouldn't normally do is that because here with the talk show format, for the first time ever, I've had a set format that where I knew how each video was going to look, and I didn't have to figure out a brand new style for each one, and that's how most people do it, and that makes it a bit easier. And so I released 4 videos in May, which I don't ever do. I was able to make these a little bit more quickly, and so I figured if I'm going to be making more videos, maybe I can do some that are okay. Here's where I was stupid. I thought these videos would all be about 10 to 15 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking, they'll be shorter videos and I'll be able to make more of them and it'll be fun. And of course they ballooned in length, but just because the situation is so different for all of us, I just sort of felt this freedom to sort of experiment a little bit more and pick some unconventional topics. And I was watching so many movies that I literally decided to do the Mamma Mia video because I just one day back in, I think maybe early April, was like, you know what? Today I'm going to watch those movies because I've always wondered what they are. And then it just, I was inspired to make the video. I will say, I've rambled for a long time and I'll pass the baton back over to you momentarily.
No worries.
Though of all of these videos, the Little Women one was one that I actually planned before the pandemic.
Mm.
That was one that back in January, literally when I saw that Hollywood Reporter brutally honest Oscar ballot article, I was like, I'm going to make it as soon as that movie comes out on Blu-ray so I can get the footage to edit.
You were just filled with righteous anger at that anonymous ballot person, right?
Exactly. And so that was one that was already on the schedule, but the rest have all been conceived in quarantine.
Gotcha. And it feels a little bit more free-flowing than usual. Usually you map out your videos months in advance. Now you're riffing on a weekly basis is what it feels like these days. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. They're coming together quicker than usual. I know like the Wine Club one, which is probably the strangest thing I've made in I don't know years. That was one. It was literally just a matter of, I think back in maybe early May, my friend Kendra told me about the Wine Club, and I thought, hey, that sounds fun, and also I bet I could do a video about it because why not? Mm-hmm. And so I just threw it on the schedule.
Yeah, I have to say I love the thumbnail for that Wine Club one. It's like, I would say the way I would describe your look is deranged. Is how I would describe the look on your face. Here, let's get that. Let me see if I can get that thumbnail up into the video right now. Let's see if I can work my magic here. Is this? I think this is it. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, got the thumbnail there. I don't know if you can see it, but basically, yeah, it's very. That is somebody who has been in quarantine with his parents for 3 months. On that note, so I was watching the most recent video, and before we dive into the specific topics, something that I have kind of felt pretty acutely during the pandemic is, uh, I feel like for many people, the pandemic has kind of like frozen the state of your life in like whatever it was before the pandemic, right? Like whatever status, wealth, uh, relationships, family, like friends, whatever you had accumulated up until that point, that's basically what you were gonna have to deal with for like many months. And
That's
that's
a good
kind
way
of
of
my
putting it.
own operating model, and it feels like you kind of have reached a similar. Watching your TCM video, it feels like you've kind of reached a similar point of questioning some of the decisions that have led you to this point.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, I mean that's part of what I thought would be fun about that video because it felt like uh such a just like a natural, I don't want to say end point, but natural point to arrive at during this period. When it's like, okay, I've just been inside for months and I can't go anywhere or do anything. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just try. I'll just pick some like new stupid project that may not be good for me, but I just have to spend my time doing something.
Mm, mm.
And so yeah, it seems to fit just that idea seemed to fit the vibe of not just how I'm feeling, but I feel like how a lot of people are feeling. And it just seemed like kind of the right thing to try making.
I did text you after I watched that video. I said I finished watching the TCM video and I'm worried about you. And you said, "Don't worry, I'm exaggerating for comedic effect a little bit." So I just want to reaffirm for people watching, you were
Yeah.
exaggerating at least like 3%, right?
I mean, I hope I'm not like bursting anyone's bubble here by revealing that aspects of the videos are fictionalized.
Mind blowing.
And like I'm not actually mean to my friends and parents the way I am in videos. But for instance, if anyone follows me on Letterboxd, you might have seen that I was watching those movies one per day, not 5 in a day. What I the okay, the true story behind this video, and it sounds like I'm just like ruining a magic trick now.
Yes, I mean people in the chat right now are going wild about this.
Yeah.
They feel very deceived. FYI.
Well, I'm sorry everyone, but here's the truth. It was actually
they're all the aliens from Galaxy Quest. Someone says says Zach Melchert. Yeah,
perfect. It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It was actually a really nice experience. What happened was for the I think 12 days, my parents and I would just watch a movie a night and drink the bottle of wine, and we would split each bottle, so between 3 people. And that was it. It was just like it was a thing that we all really enjoyed, enough that my mom signed up for her own wine club subscription. And when her box arrived, I was so excited to just like dive into like, which ones did you get? What are your movie picks? And but yeah, it was just a thing that we did each night, just like a routine that we got into. Just new movie, new wine, and it was a lot of fun. I will say, actually making the video was extremely difficult. Once we were at the end of that, putting it all together, like each night I would shoot the montage of opening and pouring each bottle of wine. But then everything else I made after. And that it was a hard one to like figure out the structure and narrative for.
Right. Did you actually spill wine on yourself though by falling asleep?
I'm just ruining everything now.
It's okay. We don't need to.
No, David. Here's what I did.
We don't need to talk about Patrick.
It's okay. I went into the bathroom and just poured wine down the front of my shirt.
Wow.
Yep.
Patrick, you sit upon a throne of lies. I for one feel like we should just stop this broadcast now because I can no longer stomach
it's true.
the deceptions.
And I'm gonna delete the video so there'll be no record of this.
Yeah,
and if you ever tell anyone, no one will believe you.
You should. Okay. Well, anyway, that sounds extremely pleasant, and I'm glad that you were that it was not as taxing and as brutal of an experience as depicted in the video.
Yeah, I will say editing it was hard. And I will say, look, before you take away any credit you may have given me, I did do 5 takes of the shot where I fall in the ditch.
All right. Well,
that was real.
You translated the grueling nature of editing the video into the actual storyline of the video, basically. So, it's like I think we talked about this before. Maybe like Steve Jobs, the movie, and one of the people said involved in the movie said, none of that happened. All of it is true. Same thing with Patrick's videos. None of it happened, but it's all true in some way.
Exactly.
All right. Let us talk about. Let's talk about the other videos. So the Hunt for Red October, Learning to Love the Soviets. That's the one you made a few weeks ago. One of the reasons I enjoy your videos is because you basically take things that like in my personal life. I'm watching the video, watching the movie, and I'm thinking to myself, "Oh, that's so interesting." And then you put the work into studying it until it is as dissected and as examined as it humanly can be, and that's certainly what you did for Hunt for Red October with how it handles language. And I guess my question let's start with like any particular reason this video, like this topic.
It was quite like I hadn't seen the movie in so long. I basically had barely remembered it, and it was. I know in past commentaries we talked a lot about McTiernan. And I was just watching a bunch of McTiernan movies and was watching that one. And as soon as that initial language shift happens, I like sat up and was like, "Oh, this is really cool."
Yeah.
The way that works. And then I was thinking, okay, I wonder what's gonna, because I'd forgotten how they handled it. I was like, I wonder what's gonna happen when they. Like how they handle it when they meet, when the Russians and the Americans meet later on. And then I thought that was really interesting. And so then I was thinking, oh, that could be a video. I think it was the day after I'd thought up the Predator video, and I was just like, oh my God, this is great. Every time I watch a movie, I just have a new idea.
I'm a freaking genius is what you were thinking.
That's how I was feeling. And then skip ahead, I watched like 30 more movies. I'm like, oh, I didn't get any ideas from those, except for like Mamma Mia.
That was basically it. You bought the script for Hunt for Red October, and
I'm gonna pull it out right now.
Yeah,
I have it in my desk.
Yeah, and I mean, I have idea. Like, why don't you tell me why did you think that was necessary?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't think I'd be able to. I wasn't trying to buy a copy. Yeah, here is the script.
Nice.
What happened was, if you just search Hunt for Red October script PDF online, you'll find a script. It's like the same version of it, like in a bunch of places online, just like on script websites. And I found that. And was looking at it and realizing like, oh, a lot of the dialogue isn't the same. The dialogue in like the language shifting scene is completely different. And so I tried to. So I was realizing, oh, this must be an earlier draft. I wonder if I can find the shooting draft. And I was really just thinking I could find another PDF, just of a different draft of the script. And then while just going through Google, I stumbled across an antique bookstore in New Hampshire was selling a physical copy of the script, like the actual thing.
Yeah.
Somehow it had ended up in this bookstore, and it was just on their website, and it cost $40, which is I have to buy like Blu-rays for every movie, and so that's like, oh, that's the price of like 2 Blu-rays. Great, and I couldn't see the inside of it at all, so I had no idea what version of the script it was. So I was basically just taking a gamble. Like, I hope this works out. And then it arrived and it was better than I could have ever hoped.
Right.
So it's one of those things that happens sometimes. There's always like a research process for every video. And just to try to pull up like supporting materials or like documents or old interviews or whatever. And sometimes you just happen to stumble across like the perfect supporting document.
So the reason why it was important to get the script, like you took a flyer on the script, you didn't know what it would have, but my sense is many people when they're writing about movies or talking about movies, they often attribute intentionality to the director
Hmm.
in ways that may be true, but are not necessarily true. Like, Michael Bay did this, Michael Bay did that. Again, I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying, but like, and you obviously have studied things
I
enough
mean,
that like, but like
it's classic auteur theory
auteur
stuff.
theory. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, but what having the script does for you and this video, in my opinion, is it basically gives you a fairly concrete piece of evidence that like at some point after McTiernan came into the process, this change was made to the script, right?
Yeah. Just like being able to, and what's great about the script is that it literally has the date of each revision marked down there. And so I went back through a lot of like LA Times articles, just on their website from the late 80s.
Yeah.
So when they like what, and so I was looking at like, okay, what date did they publish that McTiernan signed on? What date did they publish that the movie started production? And so then I could be like, oh, okay, and I see what date this page was revised, and so what, that's like enough to infer like where in the process that happened, and assuming that because he was director who at that point I imagine had enough control to be like, let's to be able to like suggest to the writers that they like introduce this new element. I felt that was a safe assumption.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it's great that you went and got the script because I think that otherwise you wouldn't know. Maybe the screenwriter wrote it that way and John McTiernan just shot it. But like, it seems very, very possible, even likely, that he was involved in that decision. What I love about the movie and what your video points out about the movie is that for me, I remember watching it the first time. I got like, I don't know if the word I would describe is like anxious or excited, but like when the Americans are about to meet the Soviets for the first time, I'm just like, how are they going to handle this? Because the whole time you've been hearing the Soviets speak English. So like when they meet, what is going to, it's like you're two different perspectives like colliding. And I got a lot of enjoyment out of that suspense, just like wondering what was going to happen there. So
Yeah.
it was, and your video kind of explains how they handle it and what effect it is. But it was a great experience watching that movie for the first time. I still remember the feeling years later from when I watched the movie the first time. So, anything else you want to say about Hunt for Red October and anything that didn't make it into the video?
I'm trying to think. I will say, I do feel really dumb about getting the location that extraction takes place in incorrect.
Mm.
I I I know a lot of people in the comments were like, you said it was in India. It's actually in Bangladesh. And yeah, that was I went to IMDb to check the locations for the movie, and I guess they were inaccurate at the time. And that's just, what I think is kind of funny about this is in that video, there's literally a point where I mentioned that McTiernan made a mistake in the commentary track. When he mentions when he states the wrong director for the movie Judgment at Nuremberg, and I say like, oh, and this is I'm sure he realized his mistake right after he recorded that, and it haunts him to this day, just like happens with me with literally every single video that I make. And then sure enough, in that same exact video, I did the same thing.
It looks like the mistakee has become the mistaker. Is what has happened.
True.
The
it's
shoe
true.
Is on the other thing.
So if only you could edit videos on YouTube.
Yeah. So people in the chat are asking a bunch of questions. Matt Torpy is asking a few questions in the chat. I'll just say
we should block Matt Torpy.
Good call. I should say that we're going to get to questions at the end of the video. So leave the questions if you want, but at some point in the next 10, 20 minutes, I'll say like, you're ready to go on the questions, and you let the questions flow, and we'll put them up on the screen. As I was watching your video, Patrick, I did think of a couple of other movies that have interesting use of language and subtitles.
Yes, please tell me.
One is Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer. It's not as it kind of, it's not as profound or as interesting as the use of subtitles in Hunt for Red October. But basically, what happens in Snowpiercer is, at one point, uh, Chris Evans' character like finds this chronal addict and his daughter, and they need to use their skills to like get to the front of the train.
Right.
But they don't speak the same language, so they take these universal translators and they like hang them around each other's necks. And then you start hearing, he's like, hey, we need to get to the front of the train. And then you hear the translation in like a computerized voice come out. And
Mhm.
then you see subtitles for it. And I just thought, oh, that's really, really cool.
I
And
completely forgot. I haven't seen that movie since it was in theaters, and I
mhm.
just forgot about that.
Yeah. So basically, whenever they're wearing the devices, they just interact using subtitles. But like, you don't necessarily hear the computer voice. So you just kind of
Right.
assume that that's how they're doing it. And I was just like, oh, that is so cool. I had never seen anything really like that before. Um,
Yeah. I
uh,
gotta watch it again.
I would say another couple of examples of interesting use of subtitles or interesting use of language. Did you see Star Trek Six: The Undiscovered Country?
No, I have not seen that one. I feel like I've seen maybe half the Star Trek movies. And no, I have not seen that one.
There's a scene, if I recall correctly, it's been many years since I've seen it, but there's a scene where I think Captain Kirk is on trial in a Klingon court, and he's holding like a translator up to his ear, and you hear the Klingons talk in Klingon, and then at some point it just like abruptly switches to English. And the reason I
Hmm.
remember that is because at some point Christopher Plummer, who I think is playing like an Asian character in that movie, or an Asian
What?
Klingon. Uh, what is his role in Star Trek Undiscovered Country? Let me just confirm to make sure I'm not saying that incorrectly.
I had
Uh,
no idea Christopher
he's
Plummer
general.
was in
He
the Star
plays
Trek.
General Chang in Star Trek Six: The Undiscovered Country, which is
Wow.
technically he's not Chinese. Obviously he's Klingon, but General Chang is a very Chinese name. And he I just remember watching that movie for the first time, and uh I was like a little kid when I was watching it, and there's one point where Christopher Plummer is barking at Captain Kirk like answer me this question, don't wait for this translation, just answer me, and it's like I was just kind of like, wait a second, so it's being translated but we're hearing the translation direct. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting moment as well. And then
Yeah.
finally, the other movie I wanted to mention is Arrival. Also, very interesting use of like
Yeah.
language subtitles. The whole movie is about figuring out language and how language can reshape the brain and the way you think. So, those are some
It
movies
is.
that came to mind while I was watching your video. So,
I know. Those are. It's funny when I was like working on the video, I was trying to uh just like find other examples that fit in well with that. Honestly, I got lucky that I just happened to watch Extraction while writing the video, and I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, this provides this one like supporting argument that I needed in the first place." But yeah, but I knew there were more, and there's always the point where I'm just like running out of time. I'm just like, I know there are other movies that do similar things, or that would be good supporting materials, but I just can't remember them right now, and don't have the time to just like spend days like scouring the internet to see like what they are.
you,
But
you
I
gotta you gotta ping me, Patrick. You
I
got
really
all these
should.
resources at your disposal here, right in front of you, man, right in front of you. So,
I'll know
anyway,
for next time.
next time you're doing a subtitle video. Okay, Little Woman: How Greta Gerwig Revolutionized a Literary Classic. Little Women, I think, is a brilliant film. Greta Gerwig's version is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
And what to me stands out as the most profound idea is how unique a writer director's spin can be on a classic book. Like
Mhm.
I don't know that it would necessarily ever occur to most people who read Little Women, oh, if you did a film you should tell the timelines in parallel. Like it's such a huge value add to do it that way. Like it creates many benefits from a storytelling perspective, including one that you list in your movie. I'm sorry, listed in your video. Another benefit that I don't think you really commented on is it kind of puts in place the seeds for the what's Florence Pugh. I know them by their actor
Amy.
names. Florence Pugh and Timothée Chalamet.
Amy and Laurie.
Amy and Laurie. It puts into place like the seeds of their romance earlier on in the movie, so that it doesn't quite feel as non sequitur-ish as I think it would if it was told in chronological order, right? Because you see them interact like later on in life, early in the film, and so it's kind of like, oh, this is one of the kind of love stories that we're going to follow throughout the course of the movie.
Right, and that was a thing. When I was researching that one, I was like trying to consume a lot of interviews with Greta Gerwig, and when she was on, I believe it was the Script Notes podcast, she said exactly what you just said. That was like one of her reasons for approaching it that way was so that way, you see Amy and Laurie together at the beginning, and you see Professor Bear, the guy that Joe maybe marries at the end. You see them together early on, so those don't like come totally out of left field later on. Because again, like I watched a lot of other movie versions of it, and I read the book. And it's interesting. I talked a bit about it in the video, but it's really interesting seeing how almost every other movie version, they just don't prioritize the adult section of the story at all. They condense that so much and spend almost all the time on when they're younger. Like the first half of the book. And that was the thing that Greta Gerwig kept talking about, that like when she reread the book when she was an adult, she was like, oh, the adult section is great. Why doesn't anyone ever talk about the adult section? And I think that's really what makes her version so strong.
Yeah, and also like love how the movie opens. There's that amazing shot of Joe kind of standing in the door, kind of composing herself before she goes in there. And again, it's not you read Little Women. It's not. There's nothing that leaps out to you that says start the movie here. That's all like Greta Gerwig's value add, and it is really kind of impressive that just rearranging the story in the way she did can lead to such a profound impact on the viewer.
Yeah, I mean, while she pretty much keeps like all the stuff in the movie is in the book. It's just sort of like the way it's arranged, and also like what's prioritized. Have you seen many of the other film versions?
I have not, sadly.
I mean, look, until the new one, I had not seen any. I just watched them for this video, but it's really interesting seeing the ways that they sort of like handle some of the same elements, specifically like how they deal with the ending, which many people, myself included, found unsatisfying in the book. And like the 1994 movie version, which is like sort of like has been the most popular, like just most beloved one for a long time, that made some changes at the end. Like that was the one that introduced the idea of like Joe writing the book Little Women about the lives of her and her sister, which is not in the book itself at all. Because they realized like that was the version that realized like, okay, we really, if we're gonna have her like settle down and marry this professor at the end, we really have to earn that a bit more. So like in that movie, they have him help her get her book published, which is like it's definitely like it's like a big step, I think, in the right direction. But my preferred version is still how Gerwig handles it.
Yeah, honestly, Patrick, I was surprised that you didn't get the script for Little Woman in this video as you did for Hunt for October, because if you had, you would have seen, and you probably have seen, that basically it's very interesting how Greta Gerwig writes the final sequences. I don't know.
She does it in so I didn't actually look at the script itself, which now feels silly. Like, why didn't I? But listening to her on the Script Notes podcast, that's John August's podcast. John August and Craig Mazin, right?
Correct.
Yeah. she explains there's parts that they read from the script and they talk about how like she wrote it in different colors, like to color code it, and then the ending. I mean, I think you've actually looked at it. So can you describe how she writes the end stuff?
You know what? I'll do you one better. I'm gonna screen cap this stuff, put it right into the video here that we're doing.
See, David, this is why you are the best at this stuff.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm not that best because I'm sticking the video in a way that like blocks our faces. But so you can actually see these final sequences. This is from the script. You can see that she writes fiction ? Fiction, and then so basically it's fiction in bold and then in parentheses ? Fiction in parentheses ? End parentheses. And then it's in red, like you see kind of the flashbacks to the school and the marriage and all that stuff.
That's really cool.
And so I think that she had not, she didn't know, like hadn't decided one way or the other whether those final sequences were for real or not. It's up to the viewer to interpret, but it does allow people to have it does allow her to have her cake and eat it too, which is to say she gets the happy ending with the romance because that is ultimately, it's a commentary on the form, right? It's what people want when they watch these movies is for the woman to get the love of her life and live happily ever after. That is what people have been conditioned to want, and yet also, as you said, she gets to take control of her economic future as well. So it's both endings. It's a Schrodinger's little woman. It's this, both things existing at once. But anyway, next time, Patrick, buy a Greta Gerwig script is what my suggestion is.
I really should. And the thing is, because that obviously like got, you know how they like package scripts to send to awards voters, like for your consideration stuff. I'm sure I could have gone on eBay and just bought one of those for like $10.
Indeed. I mean, that's really what this video is supposed to be about, Patrick, is me pointing out the flaws in your process.
I mean, yes, I do this so you can tell me how I can be doing a better job.
That's the primary function of this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's either this or I read the comments section on the videos, and there's no way I'm going to do that.
It's just as good. It's just as good. Comments are just as good. It's just as good. Okay. Is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again the best sequel ever? Now, Patrick, there's a... I think it's Is it Bettridge's Law? Bettridge's Law of Headlines.
I'm not even sure.
Bettridge's Law of Headlines. Bettridge's Law of Headlines states, any headline that ends in a question mark can be answered by the word no. And I actually subscribe to this because the philosophy is that if you have to end the headline with a question mark, you don't have enough evidence to say the affirmative. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is Mamma Mia the best sequel out there? If it really was and you felt confident, you would just say, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is the best sequel ever.
Well, I mean, David, I assume you've seen the video because I answer the question at the end.
It's true. I have seen the video, and you do answer it. So Bettridge's Law was correct in this case, is what you're saying.
It is. I've never heard of Bettridge's Law, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I will say, there's also I don't know if this is a law, but there is a general I don't know, just there are certain things that work well in YouTube video titles, and questions are one of them, and this is one of those. Look, the video that made my channel kind of, as we say in the biz, pop. That like suddenly like led to actual growth and got it to the point it's at now where it's actually like sustainable. That video was, why do Marvel's movies look kind of ugly? It was at the last minute before I uploaded the video, I decided to make the title a question, and I think that played a small role in people watching it. That said, this Mamma Mia video did not get the same views that the Marvel color grading one did.
Well, that
So
is a
there you
shock.
go.
That is a shock.
It didn't. It doesn't
Um,
always work. I think a big part of that putting a question in the title is also have that title pertain to like a really popular thing.
right. Fair enough. That is part of the formula, probably. But also, Patrick, I think you know, uh, what is it that led you to make the Mamma Mia video? You know, like, because it is. Well, okay. Here's the question I had is.
Yes.
In the Mamma Mia video, you commented on the fact that like you thought the Little Women video didn't do very well. Um, I don't know if you're serious about that, but I guess I am curious. Like, do you have an internal scale for what like a good video performance is, and like what is that? If you feel comfortable answering, and if not, that's okay.
Yes, and I don't even have to like give any hard numbers for this because David, I'm sure you're very familiar with this because you have your own YouTube channel. You want to plug it?
Yeah, sure. YouTube.com/Dave Chensky. That's Dave Chen SKY. Did a review of The Last of Us Part 2. Check it out, folks. Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah. So you know how in the YouTube studio, the like creator
Yes.
dashboard, one of the first things on there is it shows you it gives you a top 10 list within the time your latest video has been out. So like maybe
Right.
2 days,
I think it's
3
actually
hours,
recent,
and 5 minutes.
Recent 10, I believe. So it'll
Yeah,
average your most recent 10 videos.
But that's it. It's like it's ranked. It gives your last 10 videos and shows you in the same amount of time
Right.
where your latest one ranks among the last 10.
Yes.
And so this is a thing that can be sometimes it can be exciting.
Yeah.
When you release a video and you're like, oh my God, it's number one. It's it's doing better than all my videos in months. And then sometimes you release a video and it's like in 8th or 9th place, and you go, shit. This this is the worst performing video I've had in months. And so yeah, so I'm not giving you like my hard number. I don't even really have hard numbers for like it's got to get this many views in this many days. But YouTube just tells you right there like your video is doing like there is less interest from your subscribers than usual. That is the thing that they actually tell you. Like those words appear.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cut and dry. So yeah, it's pretty much it's that simple.
Yeah. Couple thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, I have no doubt that your I think 83% or 87% male audience was less interested in Mamma Mia and Little Women. Like that's just, I just think statistically that's likely, right? I'm not no judgment, but that just seems like it's a possibility. That said, here's what I will also say. My YouTube channel gets around anywhere between 50 and 70,000 views per month. Most of those views come from older videos, right? And so sometimes you put a thing out there and you don't know when it's gonna kick off. Like it's possible you'll put something out there and then literally 2 years later, YouTube starts serving that thing up like it's going out of style. And I think ultimately, that's why it's more it's valuable for you to be like making these videos that in my opinion are still going to be interesting and worthwhile like 2-3 years from now, and there's going to be people who are going to discover Little Woman, the new one, and check it out because of that video. So do not focus on the short term, this is the worst performing video I've made in the last 18 months. Don't focus on any of that stuff, Patrick. Tune out that noise, man. Tune out that noise.
David, you are completely right. I think I should say I was actually like somewhat annoyed about the Little Women video doing less well than I anticipated. I then used that as like material and played it up and exaggerated it for the next video.
Yeah.
Because again, I am a fictional version of myself in these videos. But I think the thing with the Little Women video, the reason I was like the Mamma Mia video, it did about what I expected it to. I thought, despite having an 87% male audience, I thought the Little Women one would do a bit better because it was like the very rare video that I do that's actually about like a very recent movie.
Right.
That it was like usually like I just done videos about like movies that were 30 years old that you know people probably have not watched recently, that are not topical at all. And this was a time that I was like, oh, this movie, it was just like a hit that like won Oscars.
I think it
It's
just
still
crossed like
fresh.
it crossed $200 million worldwide recently or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
And so I sort of assumed, and this is why, well, once again, I am always awful at predicting how things will do. But I thought like, hey, this one will probably do better than like the ones around it, just because it's actually about something like somewhat fresh and topical. And I was wrong. But that said, the video, it's going to age just fine. It's not
gonna
going
age
anywhere.
as well as the fine wines in the TCM video, Patrick. That's what I'm trying to encourage you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mamma Mia. Is it the best sequel ever? No, it's not. That said, I'm just gonna be honest. I don't have that much to say about this video because I don't intend on watching this movie ever. But I'm curious if there's anything else you feel like. I thought it was a very well-reasoned defense of why the first movie wasn't very good and the second movie is pretty solid.
Yeah. I mean, that was really just it. It was I watched the movies back to back. I had a good time, but again, the first one was more contingent on consuming a lot of wine while watching it. And I was just really struck by just how much the second improved over it. It seemed like it's the kind of thing, like the first one was made so much money while being like barely a film, having like virtually no coherent story at all.
Yeah.
And like having actors who can't sing, and it's like they had no need to change any of that in the sequel.
Right.
And
they actually gave
and
a
then,
crap.
I know, and it really surprised me, and also I was just kind of in the mood to like, as much as it is good to have videos that are successful and get a lot of views. I do also like I'm always excited when I have an idea for a video that is about a topic that no one is doing video essays on.
Yeah.
And so when I watched both the movies, I was just like, great. There's a video topic. I have the title right away. I have my big hyperbolic title. No one else has done a video on this. And as much as I wish I didn't have to release it when I did, I really liked that video.
Which by the way, we should make clear, like, was at the height of the Black Lives Matter protests, I believe, right?
Yes.
Or the initial stages of it.
Exactly. Like the peak. As in that was like literally I would like, when I take a break from editing, I'd go over to Twitter and like look at the news about that, about all like the protests happening in like cities around the country, and I'd go back and be like, no, I've got to edit this stupid Mamma Mia video that feels so unnecessary right now. But it's one of those things where it's like, you got these dates that you can't,
because you have sponsors that you have to hit those dates. Yeah, I know what it's like.
And especially you can't push it back past the end of the month, and that was the last day of the month. And I released the video at midnight, and then just was like, I just went to bed. I was like, I'm not good.
I remember we had missed a couple of these commentaries, and I was like, you know what, Patrick, I should really hit up Patrick after the next video. Patrick publishes his next video, Mamma Mia, here we go again. I'm like, we're not doing a commentary on this right now.
No. I mean, I didn't promote the video at all. It's like, look, people know where to find it.
Yeah,
no one needs
you don't need to tweet about that shit. No one needs to see that on Twitter.
No
one needs to even know that you made it. Okay, is really where we're landing on this.
Exactly. And but all of that said, as much as the timing was unfortunate, I still like the video. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, that was also the one where you know, it kind of like it all worked out nicely to have like you know, I was able to take the frustration over the underperforming Little Women video and kind of channel it into the ongoing frustration at John Krasinski, who now I find out today has submitted his show for an Emmy Award, and not gonna let that go. And it all kind of worked out nicely, you know. And I will say the one thing that amazed me about that video, we had a whole like minute-long dance sequence set to Dancing Queen and didn't get a copyright claim on it.
Oh, nice. Congratulations,
Yeah,
man. Congratulations.
thank you. I was
Uh,
really happy about that.
I saw you tweeted recently. You're helping people out. People who keep getting flagged for copyright claims. You said keep video clips under 6 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So
That's it's a question I think the two questions I get the most often
Yeah.
is about making videos are how do you get the footage for videos?
And how long
Which is,
can the footage be, right?
yeah, and how do you get around copyright claims? And of course, the answers again are you get an external Blu-ray drive for your computer and you rip the movie files from Blu-rays, and then and in terms of getting around copyright claims, keep the clips short. I like 5 or 6 seconds max. And then you're just not gonna have any trouble. It's that simple. For instance, on the latest video, on the TCM Wine Club video, I do have a copyright claim on that, but that's for music. It's
Right.
for the repeated song that plays every time
music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like really wanted to use that specific song because have you seen the movie All That Jazz?
I think so. Yeah.
The Bob Fosse movie.
Yeah.
That same piece and that same recording of that piece is used in like a repeated montage throughout the movie. And so as like a fun little nod to that, I was like, I'll probably get a claim. I want to use the song. It's going to be worth it. I'm going to do it. And so I got a copyright claim for that, but nothing for any of the movies at all.
Yeah. All right. So that's Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Do we have any thoughts on the TCM video? Oh, actually, I do have one other thought, which is echoes what people in the chat room are saying, is I think that film YouTube or YouTube video essayists spend almost all their time, let's say like 90+% of their time, analyzing movies directed by men. And I think it's cool that you're trying to expand the aperture a little bit, you know, with Little Women. And Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is directed by a man as well, I believe. But
the first one is directed by a woman.
First one's directed by a woman.
Yeah, so the second one by a man.
I say keep it up, Patrick. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Even if the immediate numbers are not what you want, I think history will prove you wise, sir. Okay. Any other thoughts on the TCM video, and then we can go to questions.
I'm just gonna say I do. As much as I looked like I was having a bad time in the video, I do honestly recommend the TCM Wine Club. It's like I've become a genuine fan of the service. The wine is good, and also just like the movie picks are really good. And so I've been thrilled anytime anyone has been like tweeting at me to say, hey, I signed up for the TCM Wine Club. And again, they did not sponsor the video. That does not benefit me at all. I'm just glad to see people are doing it because I think it's worth it.
I actually think you probably left some money on the table there, Patrick. I mean, you probably could have reached out to TCM and said, hey, I'm Patrick fucking Willems.
And then they'll say, I don't know what that means. No,
I don't know what any of those words mean.
I will say, so I already had a sponsor on that video, but for the past couple days, I've been trying to just email the TCM Wine Club just to say, hey, I made this video. I really like your service. Just if you want to check it out. And so hey, if anyone who works at TCM is watching this
And
right
they
now,
have not gotten back to you, it sounds like.
well, no. Here's the problem: the
The email address bounces back.
the
There's
contact
no one there.
page on their on it's not like it's even worse than that. They have like they don't have an email address you can just send a regular message to. They have a contact page
form,
where you it doesn't work. I've tried it in multiple browsers, and when I hit submit, it never loads. You can't send them a message. And I've searched for another email address for the TCM Wine Club, and I can't find it. All I want to do is tell them that I like what they do.
I'm not
And I can't.
convinced that any human beings are maintaining the TCM Wine Club.
See, that makes sense. But as much as their Twitter account has not been active in 2 years, their Instagram account is very active.
I see.
They posted like a couple days ago. I might just have to DM them on Instagram. But look, nothing would make me happier than for the TCM Wine Club to get in touch to sponsor a video, because that is a service that I can wholeheartedly recommend.
I'm not even thinking sponsorship. Like, at least they can give you the wines for free or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, then you have done them.
Evidence.
You have done them. You provided them a godsend in terms of publicity. But anyway, I'm glad you had a good time. Favorite wine of the bunch, Patrick?
Oh my God. Favorite wine of the bunch. Okay. Oh my God. I don't have the names of them on hand. I think I really liked, actually, I can say this because my mom signed up for her own subscription, and the box arrived a couple days ago. And last night she got some of the same bottles that I did, but a lot of different ones. And so we opened one that we'd already had, the Deloach Pinot Noir, the one that I drank while watching In a Lonely Place. And having just drank that again last night, it's great. That one is way up there.
The Deloach Pinot Noir. That's a solid one. All right.
This is why people come to this channel, right? For wine recommendations.
Correct. 100% overlap in that Venn diagram. Okay, so let's go to questions from the audience. While we're getting questions from the YouTube, I'll throw them up on the channel. While we're getting questions, just want to plug my channel again. Check me out. Just Google YouTube, David Chen. You'll find my channel. Just finished a lengthy review of The Last of Us Part 2. Not as lengthy as Patrick's videos, but, you know.
I mean,
lengthy by like a normal.
They shouldn't be that long.
Normal metric of
I mean, you've got lots. I mean, yeah. I also would like to recommend David's channel. There's even a video that we did together on there where we talked about
the Skywalker legacy. So
yeah, the behind the scenes documentary about Rise of Skywalker. So yes, everyone go subscribe to David.
Thank you, Patrick. All right, so let's see. Active Havoc says next Blue Flame special. When is that happening?
I genuinely don't know. Okay, all I'll say is I'm not going to do a Blue Flame special as part of the talk show, so it wouldn't happen until the talk show ends and I'm back to making videos kind of the usual way.
And you're not going to make videos the usual way until you return to your apartment in New York City.
Exactly.
Okay, Bunny in the Box asks, why is your beard and glasses game so strong?
That's a great question.
I think it's rhetorical. You don't need to answer it. But
David, where do you get your glasses from?
Honestly, Costco. I get my glasses from Costco. The extremely fashionable place known as Costco. But I actually specifically got these glasses to use in public settings, like when I'm out and I know I'm gonna get my picture taken, like for a headshot, or I'm doing YouTube. These are my like YouTube glasses because they're very stark. Right. And I have other glasses that are like, you know, very thin frames, and it's just like, if you're gonna do glasses, you just go all the way. You know, like make it very clear that there are glasses you're looking at.
I totally agree. I will say I've bought glasses kind of deliberately because of for the videos and to serve different purposes in the videos, which sounds very vague, but like it's definitely a similar thing of realizing like, okay, if like I need glasses that I'm going to be like photographed and filmed a lot wearing.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Wesley Cruz says, just want to chime in and say the talk show format has been a million times better than many other talk show attempts during these times. Congrats. It has
Thank
been
you.
interesting to see that like YouTubers on average have better equipment than many talk show hosts. Because YouTubers have been preparing for this moment for years.
It's true. We are used to having no studio audience to laugh at what we say. We
I
don't have to
really
adjust to
enjoy
that.
Seth Meyers' stuff, but it kind of kills me inside that he uses an iPad front-facing camera to film his videos. So it's just like the iPad front-facing camera is just not very good. So it's like kind of muddy. But the content is still good. So that's what's most important, the content, right?
It's been interesting seeing the ways the different talk show hosts have done it. Like Colbert has a pretty professional setup in his house.
Yeah.
I think like I don't know what he's shooting it on. I'm like if I had to guess, I would say maybe like a Canon C300 or something. But there's definitely like a level of production value there in terms of like doing it from home that most of the hosts don't have.
Jacob Jelinek says, I got my ticket on TCM to submit. You should try again, Patrick. Okay. We got to talk about this, I think, which is this question about, okay, so Zach Melchert says, The Prestige is by far the best Nolan movie. You kind of came to that conclusion in your video. I just wanted to just gut check that with you. Is it, in fact, still your favorite Chris Nolan movie?
Can you get back to me in 3 weeks?
So are you planning to go see Tenet, Patrick? Like, well, actually, let's talk about that. Like, what is your... Oh, you weren't even thinking about that.
No, I'm planning on rewatching a lot of them.
I see.
Because a lot I haven't seen in years.
I thought you were saying because I'm going to have seen Tenet by then.
No. It's because I'm planning on rewatching a bunch of Nolan movies. But I haven't seen Memento since I was in high school. But no, you were asking about movie theaters.
Yeah. Well, let me just say that Memento is still my favorite Nolan film at this point. I mean, I love the Prestige. Prestige is probably like 2 or 3, so it's really up there. But I love Memento because it's such a daring script. It really is kind of the things that they would go on to do, the Nolan brothers would go on to do in things like Westworld and Inception and other things like that, like was like distilled to its purest essence in that film, I think. Mm-hmm. And I love the themes of the movie. You know, the idea that you can't heal unless you can feel time, as Guy Pearce says, and how memory is such an important part of who we are, and without it, you can like become a monster. You know, there's just so many interesting concepts in that movie. So it's still my favorite one. All that said, go ahead. You're gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say I'm excited to rewatch it.
Yeah. So all that said, movie theaters. Are you going to go back anytime in the near future?
I don't think so. I'm like actually annoyed that that Nolan seems so dead set on releasing Tenet in July. Especially, did you see that New York Times article saying that like he is the reason that it's sticking to July, that Warner Brothers wanted to push it back?
Yeah, it's tough for me to read it as though Christopher Nolan is greedy. Like maybe he is, you know, it's possible.
No, I don't think he's greedy. Like the weird thing about it is because I think they're going to I think releasing it any movie in July in theaters is a bad financial decision. Like talking like on a purely like capitalist level, I don't think they'll make as much money as they would if they released it at a later date, because not as many people will want to go to the movies now. I think it's just that Nolan is so obviously he's so vocal about how much he cares about the theatrical experience and he wants his movies to be experienced that way. But I think he's become attached to this idea of like being the first movie to like sort of lead the charge of like movies are coming back to theaters. And that's what I think is sort
Well,
of like just irresponsible.
well, I don't. I'm not going to weigh in on whether or not it's responsible or not. Like people have their own. You know, I've seen like people say. I think I saw an editorial the other day that's like it is morally wrong to release Tenet in July. Like I'm not going to share. Like, I'm not going to talk about my opinion on that, but I will say that the most charitable case for Christopher Nolan is that the theatrical exhibition industry is facing an existential crisis. Like they
Mhm.
are teetering on the precipice of complete ruination, and he doesn't want it to go away. And that by releasing Tenet is potentially a lifeline for movie theaters. Um, and you're saying Warner Brothers wants to push back. Well, like you know, there are some movie studios that would love to never deal with movie theater owners ever again. You know, like,
Mhm.
and why not just release straight to video on demand? So I think that if you read it in the most charitable way possible, he is trying to throw movie theaters a bone. Um,
Yes,
so, but
that's a really good
I
point.
don't know what his true motivations are. I'm just saying I think it's possible that it's not as self-centered or egotistical as many people are making it out to be. So,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, I think it mostly comes down to his love of movie theaters and the theatrical experience, and not like just a need to like make a lot of money right
right.
now. But I think it is telling though that Warner Brothers took Wonder Woman and pushed it from August to October, and yet only pushed Tenet to a later date in July.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, but yeah, I probably, assuming it is released on July 31st, I don't think I will be going to a theater,
Uh,
and it will bump me out.
when do you feel like you're gonna feel safe going back to movie theater?
I can't say at all. I mean, like again, I ask me maybe when I'm like back in the city,
Yeah.
because right now I that seems so far off, and I have no real point of reference because I'm so isolated from the world. I couldn't say.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, how about you?
I will say that I am not planning to go to a movie theater this year unless it's to see Christopher Nolan's Tenet. That is the only one movie that I would make an exception for.
You'll go and then just immediately quarantine for weeks.
Well, I've thought about how to do this, right? And one potential way I was thinking is like if there's a small theater, like
Mhm.
50 to 100 seats, right? Um, I could theoretically see, and they're only filling many theaters up like 20 to 30% capacity. So you
Right.
could theoretically buy out like a small theater for a couple $100, and that
Mhm.
would be like all the money I spent on movie going for the rest of the year is like right there in that one screening.
This had better
Um,
be the best movie I've ever seen.
yeah, you know how like in like the 90s or the 80s they'd have like TV commercials that are like if you see one movie this year, it's like we're at that point now. We're at that point.
Yeah.
It's that high stakes now. Also drive-in. Like, would you see Tenet in a drive-in? I don't know about that. People are
No.
asking in the chat.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I've only been to one drive-in movie in my entire life. Uh, but it's not an experience I think that is as immersive as I would usually like with a movie. And for a movie like a Christopher Nolan movie, which is like shot in IMAX, you must see it on the biggest, clearest screen imaginable with perfect like 7.1 whatever the latest Dolby thing is. It's like I don't think an a drive-in theater is going to do it justice.
Yeah. People in the chat, by the way, are seeming pretty shocked that I would consider seeing Tenet under the circumstance I described. Yeah. I mean, that's reasonable. I'm putting it out there, and if it sounds unreasonable, let me know. But it seems kind of reasonable to me. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think also I'd be very nervous about touching anything too. You know, like sitting in a seat where anyone has sat in. I would love to
Yeah.
like bring a lawn chair, you know, like one of those like folding camping chairs, and just kind of set it down in the open, you know, like right in front of the little handicap section, maybe. Again, assuming there's no one else in the theater,
Right.
and you know, I don't need to touch anything. I don't need to interact with anyone. That would be my ideal. I don't know if it's possible. So
We'll see.
we'll see. Okay. Any other questions in the chat that people have? Are you looking at the chat, by the way?
I am,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me
There
know if
was
there's
there was a
anything.
question like earlier
Yeah.
that I wanted to answer that I thought was fun that I had a quick response to.
Phoenix Animation says,
Um
do storyboards for the shorts?
um uh usually what I do for if it's like a short film, or like a full narrative piece, yes, I pretty much always storyboard. What I usually do for a lot of the narrative sections for the video essays is just a shot list. I'll just make like a checklist in the notes app on my phone. Just be like, close up of this, wide angle of this, low angle of this. Just like
Yeah.
I just do it like that, and that tends to work. And oh, I can't scroll back past a certain point in the chat.
I got you. Man. I got you. Okay.
Okay.
So Mark Aquino says, when will we get Charles merchandise?
Um, you know what? I can say this. I'll say this now. This is a small enough group. We actually had Charles merchandise ready to go, and then the pandemic hit, and the warehouse that had it shut down.
It's rough, man. It's
So
rough.
it is.
Charles merchandise, another casualty of the pandemic, sadly.
It's true. It's true. But I think it has been made. I think the Charles merch has actually been made. And so in the near future, it will be available.
Okay. So did you remember the other question you had? Because I'm
I
looking.
remember the question.
Yes.
Which I can't see who asked it,
I'll
but
try
it
and
was
find it. I'll try and find it.
Who picks the songs that Jake and Rachel play?
Yes.
The house band.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So because this is usually it's all of them. And I like the highlight of the process for each video is when they send me the batch of footage with their whole part, because I never quite know what it's going to be, and I almost never know what the songs are going to be. So like when I just got the footage for like the Wine Club video, and then I see that like, okay, they've got Purple Haze and Into Club, I cannot tell you how hard I was laughing. It was such a nice surprise. And so it's but like we all agreed, like talking over it weeks in advance, that for the Mamma Mia video, it was going to be all ABBA songs, like it had to be. And I will say for next week's video, which should be out either Sunday or Monday, this was the first one where I actually requested several songs because I wanted them to be on theme for the video. But yeah, usually it's just Jake and Rachel just left to their own devices figuring that stuff out, and I always love to see what it's going to be.
All right. Let's do one or two last ones. Thoughts on the rumor that Keaton is returning to Batman?
That news item made me extremely happy. I was shocked in a way comic book movie news hasn't shocked me in, I feel like, years maybe. And I feel like I've talked about this in other places, but I've sort of a movie that I always really wanted to see, that I would like do terrible things to have the chance to direct, is a Batman Beyond movie. And my take was always cast Michael Keaton as old Bruce Wayne. And so the idea of Michael Keaton coming back as Batman in any way, I think is just very exciting. I love Mike. The thing is, like, honestly, Michael Keaton could be in any movie, and I would just be excited about it. I love him, and so I think this is so cool, and I really really hope it's true and happens.
Isn't it so interesting that if you flash back to Michael Keaton's first Batman movie, that was in 1989, and right around then, Twin Peaks season 1 came out, and I think it was around then that Star Trek Next Generation was still out, right? And
Yeah,
literally in the last 12 months, we've seen, or I guess it's been a couple years now, but we've seen like Twin Peaks: The Return. We saw CBS Picard, and now Michael Keaton might be Batman again. Entertainment is cyclical, basically.
look, Twin Peaks said it the best. That gum you like is going to come back in style.
Keanu Nelson says, "What do you think of The Matrix 4 getting delayed?"
At this point, I just assume every single movie will be delayed. Like anytime a news item comes out, like this movie has a new release date, it's 6 months later. I don't get upset anymore because it's just the way everything is just getting shifted back.
I have a kind of personal philosophy on this kind of stuff, which is I don't believe a movie actually exists until I see a trailer for it.
Yes, I'm the same way.
Like it doesn't
I don't
exist
know.
in my head canon until the trailer is out, because so many movies fall apart at some point between when it's greenlit and when, you know, it's in development hell for years, and it's so and so is attached to such and such, and it's just like so much of that stuff just never happens. Like, where's Ridley Scott's Monopoly movie? You know what I mean? Like, many projects just don't happen.
I
So-
want the Ridley Scott Monopoly movie. I remember when that was announced, and I was like, this sounds. It just sounded so insane that I wanted to see it more than anything. But yeah, I'm totally the same way. It's like it doesn't until I see footage, it doesn't register as real.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you could just tell me it's coming out in 3 years or it's coming out in
Right.
2 months. Like I was today I was looking at like apparently the new Halloween movie is coming out this October.
Yeah.
That's only a handful of months away, but it could it could be the same as like 2 years because I haven't seen anything and that movie doesn't seem to exist.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to bring us to the end of this commentary video. It has been nice to see comments from people saying, like, where are the commentary videos? I guess a handful of people actually watch these things. So hope you enjoyed this one as well. And you can find me at youtube.com/DaveChensky. That's Dave Chen, SKY. Obviously, you know where to find Patrick on this channel as well as his main channel, Patrick H. Willems. Patrick, you want to sign off for us?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. I miss doing these. The questions were great. I really appreciate everyone watching the videos. You know, I've been trying to create as much fun entertainment during this weird time as possible, and I'm glad people seem to be enjoying them. Hope everyone's doing okay.
Keep it up, man. All right, signing off. Until next time.